These are some pictures, and I know you've seen a lot of them, but I want to make sure that people know who these people are and why they're important. And if I start up at the left up there, we see Senator Enzi, who's the ranking Republican on the Senate Help Committee. He's been a very big friend to NAHU. He's conservative, but not really real conservative, and so he worked very well when Senator Kennedy was the chair of the committee. They worked pretty well together. And then right below him now is the new, since Senator Kennedy passed away, Senator Harkin, who, by the way, on many things has also been a friend to NAHU, is the new Democratic chair of the Senate Help Committee. He is a very huge wellness proponent, and he's just absolutely committed to wellness and prevention. And so he tends not to be, he seems to like this idea of a public plan, but on many other things we're with him on many other areas. And then to his right, with the man with the microphone in his hand, is Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is the lead Republican he's the minority leader on the Senate side. And he's, kind of makes sure that the Republicans are all together, which is herding cats. Doesn't happen all Republicans together. They do what they want. But he's pretty good at keeping them together on things that they just feel like they're not going to get, lose their seats over. Directly above him is his Democratic counterpart, the Senate Majority Leader, is the most powerful person in the Senate. That's Harry Reid from Nevada. And Harry Reid he's fairly liberal. He faces a very tough re-election campaign. That's going to play a lot into what happens during this whole thing. So he's going to be kind of forced to listen to a lot of different sides of things. And I have to say, here, the people that work for Harry Reid are some of the nicest people in the Senate. If you ever want to go in an office where they'll be nice to you, go in Harry Reid's office. They're just really polite. It's sort of like a big deal for them there, which is, I know people in Texas are polite too. That's why I mention it. So what my point is you can't necessarily say, oh, this person is like that, because they're all about what their own situation with, like Reid's dealing with his re-election issue. And then to his right, the woman in the red jacket is Olympia Snowe. One of the most important people in this whole debate is Olympia Snowe. She's a moderate Republican from Maine. She many times will vote with Democrats, but you never know. Olympia Snowe is going to do what she thinks is best. Almost every time, and she may not think the same thing is best that you think is best, but she really is very thoughtful. It was very interesting to watch her during the Finance Committee markups, because she really tried to look at every single issue separately and address it separately. And so she's a key player, because she could swing with Republicans, she could swing with Democrats. She ended up voting for the bill that came out of the Finance Committee, but she caused them a lot of trouble in the markup, with making sure that things were the way she wanted. And the thing that's important about Olympia Snowe is that when it comes down to whether or not we have a government-run public plan to compete with private plans, she may be the one that calls the shots about under what circumstances that might happen. Because she's the one that has said, look, this can only happen if the private plans are unsuccessful with lowering cost. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Below her is Kent Conrad, who has been a pretty much, he has also been opposed to a traditional style of public plan, and he's the one that's been promoting these ideas of co-ops instead. And he was a fair voice of reason on many issues during the markup as well. We have a pretty good relationship in that office as well. Then right below him and to the right, you see two very, very important people. Max Baucus on the left, who's whispering to Grassley. They are the Democratic and Republicans leaders of the Senate Finance Committee. And Grassley has been in Congress for 30 years, I think, and he is He's definitely a piece of work. He's just so, he has his own ideas and he's going to do what he wants, but he understands about partisanship and when it's not good to have partisanship. And the interesting thing about the Finance Committee is that really of all of the committees of any jurisdiction, it's the only one that really tries to work on a bipartisan basis in either the House or the Senate. They do a fairly decent job of that most of the time. So over the years, we've always had a really good relationship with the Finance Committee because they tend to just want factual information, practical information, and helpful. And then above him, a very good friend to NAHU is Senator Hatch from Utah. And Senator Hatch is one of the most respected people. He's a Republican. He was actually responsible for a number of the agent broker amendments. He's been very, very good. And then above him is Senator Dodd from Connecticut, who conducted, he's important now, he conducted the markup in Senator Kennedy's absence. And even though Senator Harkin, over back on the left down there, is now technically the chair of the Help Committee, it will be Senator Dodd. It's Senator Dodd who's working on this merger of the Help and Finance bills. So a little bit of animosity between those two about that. So when you see these guys' faces, there are real people in back of them. They all have their own personal dynamics, and these are really, really important people. Then on the House side, I know that I'm not going to take the time to go through all of these because the House, again, is the Wild West. Quickly, I know you all, I'm going to point out a couple of them. Charlie Rangel, who's up in the left with his hands like this, he is chair of the House Ways and Means Committee, and he's actually under some ethics investigation right now. So theoretically, that could blow things up. If we're really lucky, that could blow things up. And another person to watch is all the way over to the right is Henry Waxman, who is the chair of the Energy and Commerce Committee. And he's been around for a long time, and he actually brokered some pretty significant deals with the Blue Dog Democrats in his committee. And that's important because it remains to see whether the Blue Dogs will cooperate during the floor vote or not. Theoretically, if you pulled all the Republicans and all the Blue Dogs and some of the new Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, who's right there up at the top, will have a little problem in getting the bill passed. But most of the time, the House can pass whatever they want. And I'm not going to go through the rest of these. Next slide. I think one of the key things is President Obama, I don't think people understand how key a role the White House is playing in all of this. First of all, I'm not about bashing any administration. Oh, I had one, but I didn't get it yet. Thank you. I'm just recovering from swine flu, so that's why my voice is cracking here. First of all, this issue about if you like your health plan, you can keep it. We can just forget that. Nobody's going to really keep their plan for very long. That's what the truth is, and I'm not calling anyone a liar. The fact is that the bills are set up so that people are not going to really be able to keep their health plans for very long. And it doesn't matter which version of the bill you look at. They all have provisions in them that either they directly say you can only keep it for a period of time, or just the way that things work out, it will just happen that way because it will be unattractive to do so. And so I just wanted to point out that that's pretty much not true.